Hi, I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week. Louisiana is again at the national spotlight, this time for a very good reason. Louisiana 4th District Congressman Mike Johnson is now Speaker of the House. It's the first time a congressman from Louisiana has accepted the gavel. That gives Louisiana the top 2 spots in the U.S. House of Representatives, with Johnson as the Speaker and Louisiana 1st District Congressman Steve Scalise serving as Majority Leader. Johnson comes in at a pivotal time with the war between Hamas and Israel, the ongoing conflict in the Ukraine, a looming government shutdown, and the need to pass a new farm bill. 61 Republican members of Congress signed a letter urging Johnson to replace the farm bill that expired on September 30th, writing, quote, "We urge you and the conference at large to be united in ensuring swift passage of a strong farm bill." Before he was elected Speaker, Congressman Johnson revealed a priority list that included a December vote on the farm bill, pledging, quote, "to begin negotiations as soon as possible."
It is our duty to work together, as previous generations of great leaders have, to face these great challenges and solve these great problems. I will conclude with this. The job of the Speaker of the House is to serve the whole body, and I will. But I've made a commitment to my colleagues here that this Speaker's office is going to be known for decentralizing the power here. My office is going to be known for members being more involved and having more influence in our processes and all the major decisions that are made here, for predictable processes and regular order. We owe that to the people. That's right. And I want to make this commitment to you, to my colleagues here and on the other side of the aisle as well. My office is going to be known for trust and transparency and accountability, for good stewardship of the people's treasure, for the honesty and integrity that is incumbent upon us, all of us, here in the People's House. Our system of government is not a perfect system. It's got a lot of challenges, but it is still the best one in the world, and we have an opportunity to preserve it.
The Louisiana Farm Bureau has some experience working with Speaker Johnson and his staff. We recently sat down with Brian Breaux and Andy Brown from the Louisiana Farm Bureau Commodity and Public Policy Department to talk about Speaker Johnson on the Louisiana Farm Bureau podcast.
We've had a very good rapport with Representative Johnson. I really think he's the right recipe to maybe knit the country back together. You know, we have a lot of divisiveness and all, but I think his demeanor will lend itself to where we're going to have a better dialogue than what we currently have.
Yeah, I probably hadn't had the depth of issues that Brian has in his portfolio, but overall, just in what I do in the basics of planning some trips and planning those kind of things back in the district, the accessibility that we've had with Congressman Johnson is right up there at the top of the delegation. Brian's exactly right that he is a tactician. I mean, he is an attorney, and also it's important to note that his staff person that he assigns to Ag is also an attorney. So we really have a great team in that 4th District office.
If you would like to hear the entire interview or learn more about Speaker Johnson's election, listen to the latest episode of the Louisiana Farm Bureau podcast, wherever you get your podcast, or you can head over to our website, twilatv.org. We'll link you to it that way as well. When you think of aquaculture in Louisiana, we usually think about what we eat, right? Our state is known for its catfish, crawfish, oysters, and other seafood. However, there is one industry that puts the SEE in seafood. As TWILA's Neil Melancon tells us, the Japanese tradition of raising koi has made a big splash in Louisiana.
In Kyoto, Japan, the Golden Pavilion is known for its architectural beauty and reflecting pool. Inside that pool, though, is a hidden gem, these koi fish. In Japan, they're known as the jewel fish, prized for their beauty and the relaxation of looking at them swim peacefully.
Koi are a relaxing thing. Watching fish swim is a peaceful serenity idea. The beauty and art on top of that makes it all the better. So, and it's one of the things why they've been strived to make it this absolutely beautiful things swimming in a body of water.
That's Kyle Loveland, the manager here at Purdon Koi Farms in Louisiana. Today, he's giving a tour to the Louisiana Farm Bureau Women's Leadership Committee. He told the group raising koi can be difficult and, like farming, takes a lot of hands-on experience.
So if we look at fish over and over and over again, and we start to see the changes that fish tend to present, especially with a lot of given lines, we can see a lot of hereditary similarities from mother to, from grandmother to mother, and from that we learn what the fish's behavior can be.
Loveland says there's definitely agriculture in raising koi. Much like all cattle ranchers or grass farmers, Loveland describes himself as a water and bacteria manager more than anything else.
The bacteria essentially consumes ammonia that the fish are producing or expunging through their waste and through their respiratory system as they breathe. It is then converted by a set of bacteria into nitrites, and then from the nitrites it's converted into nitrates, which we're then getting rid of when we do water exchanges.
Koi grow up to 3 feet long, but getting them there is tricky. He says in order for them to be considered to be prize winners, they have to get to at least 32 inches long.
The thing that leads to fish growing large is good body shape, good protein intake, healthy water quality. All of these things that year after year allow a fish to achieve its maximum potential.
Despite koi coming from Japan, they're not meant for sushi. The high-end market is strictly ornamental, with some individual fish commanding $20,000 a piece.
We like to take a small fish and grow it out for customers. We have the advantage here in this state that because we have perfectly good warm weather majority of the year, we're able to produce very large fish in a very quick and an efficient manner.
Women's Leadership Committee member Cindy Doey says she was impressed by the tour and definitely saw parallels to a rice farm back home.
We got in here and I thought we were going to see one little pond, and Kyle started showing us different ponds, and the knowledge of what it takes to grow a fish just amazed me. This facility is phenomenal.
Purdon Koi Farms ships their fish worldwide, so you can certainly get access to them anywhere you're watching this, except in Japan. Japan doesn't allow fish to be shipped back into that country to prevent the spread of foreign diseases. We'll have a link for you to their farms over on our website at twilatv.org. And Avery, I know, after watching this story, I'm sure you have questions like how many people can afford. Karl brought up an interesting video watching this, which was, this guy in Dubai who had this multi-million-dollar pond and custom pump system and all that stuff. So it's certainly for the upper end thing. It's like, the Kentucky Derby, that sort of thing. It's not for
not for me. It's not for me. $20,000 a fish is just kind of outside. I mean, especially because I've yet to keep a guppy alive, okay?
Right.
We don't do well with fish in the Davidson household.
What I thought particularly was interesting is that these fish grow up to a maximum of 36 inches. But in order to be considered for championship, they have to be 32 inches or above. And then they really start, they grow well up to 24 inches, but beyond that point, it's hard to get them up above there. So you can see there's just this really narrow tolerance for pretty much their entire existence, much less becoming a grand champion fish.
So let's bring it back to Japan. You were recently in Japan.
Yes.
Coming back and doing this story, what was that experience like, having you see them in Japan and also see this farm here in Louisiana?
Well, you get the sense when you're looking at the koi fish that there is something to the breeding of them, that they have to look a certain way. In Japan, they're literally in ditches on the side of the road. In Kyoto, they swim they're swimming down like we had dinner at a restaurant, and they're in the ditch next to us, just swimming away. But it's not the same sort of thing, just like, a cow isn't a cow. When you're looking for top-end genetics, I mean, $20,000 for a syringe is not, genetics is not unheard of for there. So it's similar in that regard. But it is interesting to see how this, sort of very niche, pursuit has turned into this global phenomenon.
Well, I love when a great story falls to the person it should. Thank you so much, Neil Melancon. Well, as you saw, the Louisiana Farm Bureau's Women's Leadership Committee The chair, Michelle Simoneau, also has a successful sugarcane operation. She said this year has been a challenge for sugarcane farmers as the summer's heat and drought has stunted a lot of cane. However, farmers are ever the optimist, and Simoneau says there's a silver lining to all this weather.
Most producers, I think, have accepted the fact that it's going to be a short crop, a loss on acres and sugar content. The good thing is it's dry, the harvest is going well, there's no breakdowns, there's no mud, and the price of sugarcane is up this year. So hopefully that'll offset some of the stress for most farmers.
The Women's Leadership Committee is also getting ready for service projects during the holidays, including veterans' homes visits across the state. Riding through the timber of the Florida parishes, you'll find little pockets of vegetable production. You'll find everything from large strawberry fields to tiny backyard gardens. This week, TWILA's Karl Wiggers takes us to one of those farms for a field day at the produce farm of Warner Hall.
I always tell people, you're not going to get rich in agriculture. It's pleasing. You get a chance to be outside. It's exercise, food for the table.
Also on the table today is learning, but not just here under the tents, but out here in the fields as well. Warner Hall says he is happy to see young people out on his farm learning about what he does.
Some of them don't know what a plant look like in the field, and when they come in the field with me, I'll show them and tell them the different plants, and that make you feel good that they are learning something.
Here under Hall's high tunnel, Eugene Livingston with the NRCS is proud of the success story this structure represents. Hall purchased this tunnel with the help of cost-sharing programs through the NRCS.
Coming out to events, having these one-on-one conversations, you're able to hear these producer stories of what they need, what they don't have access to, and from there we're able, at the state office, come up with conservation solutions to reach a wide brand of producers.
They cost share a certain program, and those programs are very important. It helps you out with the cost of certain things. That's a help. Anything that you can get help with now in farming is very valuable because prices have went up quite a bit lately.
Livingston says the NRCS has more funding on the way to help farmers like Hall and others at this workshop. As for Hall, he's proud to have part in feeding his neighbors with knowledge and the produce from his fields.
When you wake up in the morning, breakfast, that comes from agriculture and farming. When you put on your clothes, that's the farm, something that comes from a product of agriculture. So in these days and times, try to make sure agriculture is important in your life because agriculture feeds and takes care of the world.
In St. Helena Parish, I'm Karl Wiggers for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
Hall emphasized the importance of young people coming to events like this to see how they can find a future in farming. As you saw in the story, the Natural Resource Conservation Service has a lot of ways to help beginning farmers and historically underserved producers. You'll find more information about that on our website at twilatv.org. If you can't go out to the farm for the holidays, the Louisiana Farm Bureau can bring the farm to you. Again, the state's largest general farm organization is selling seasonal specialties through its holiday shop. And the people who gather all those goodies say they're ready to deliver fruit trees and pecans to your parish Farm Bureau office. This is what the holidays look like for Louisiana Farm Bureau members. That's because trees like these from Patrick Becknell's nursery in Plaquemines Parish are again available through the Louisiana Farm Bureau Holiday Shop. Louisiana Farm Bureau Facilities and Safety Director Wendell Miley has overseen the Service to Member program since its inception in 1987.
We have sold soybean candles, we've sold aromatic rices, we've sold honey, we've sold many different Louisiana-produced products we've tried to add to the program, but for what you see now on our order form, those are the things that truly have worked well for us through the years. Everybody loves fruit. Everybody loves peanuts and pecans, a lot of good snack food, a lot of good pecan products for using for cooking. So that's kind of what's worked well for us through the years. It's not a wide variety of different Louisiana-grown products that are being sold in the program, but this is what has continued to work well for us to the present day with the program.
Holiday Shop organizer Matt Sergo says on this year's order form you'll find 3-gallon plum and citrus trees, as well as pecan pecan products from Bajerons and Point Capi pecans, with favorites like Hot and Spicy and Chocolate pecans, along with a new offering, Praline Crunch.
It's going to look a lot like those candy pecans that people love so much, just kind of broken up smaller. They're perfect for putting on any kind of a dessert that's going to be baked.
While fresh Satsumas sadly will not be available through the holiday shop this year, you can still buy a tree to grow your own.
The Satsuma is the most cold hardy, so all the other ones, if you have a really difficult cold snap come through, they're likely not to make it. So we're trying to impress upon the folks what they need to do to try and protect that tree whenever that time comes.
Miley says your Parish Farm Bureau office must receive your order by noon on November 27th for delivery December 12th and 13th. Those chocolate pecans are my kryptonite. Now, if you would like to place an order with the Louisiana Farm Bureau Holiday Shop, click over to our website, twilatv.org. Remember, you must be a Louisiana Farm Bureau member to place an order. So if you're not already a member, join today. Still to come on TWILA, how one LSU College of Agriculture student is putting his knowledge to use in Tiger Stadium. But first, we get some insight on the organic versus non-organic debate. Stay with us. To buy organic or not to buy organic? That seems to be the question, or at least is the question we're asking today. In this week's Label Lessons, LSU Ag Center registered dietitian Jennifer Duhan explains what the organic label means and what you need to consider when shopping the produce aisle.
Hey y'all, Jennifer Duhan here, registered dietitian and area nutrition agent with the LSU Ag Center. And today we're in Livonia, Louisiana, shopping at Sopranos. So join me and let's go see what kind of labels we can find. All right, now speaking of labels, let's talk organic. Organic means made from the earth. And in 2002, the USDA started a program called Certified Organic. And that was to meet the consumer's desires or wants. Now, a few things about organic: it was meant to help improve the water quality as well as soil quality, also have better farm animal welfare practices, and also increase sustainability when it comes to crop production. Now, don't be fooled by the labels, because organic will still use conventional pesticides as well as natural fertilizers. Now, this label does not mean that it's healthier, more nutritious, or even safer. One thing that you might notice is actually an increase in cost. Typically, organic crops are going to be smaller crops, so they're going to also cost more in production. Now, if you don't want to take my word for it, let's compare nutrition labels. You'll see that each one is going to have very similar calorie, fat, and even carbohydrate content. So you're still getting the same nutrition, whether it's an organic brand or a non-organic brand. So next time you're shopping, don't let the label fool you and think that you need to spend more on organic.
If you'd like to see more videos like this, head over to our YouTube channel and check out our Label Lessons playlist. And if you have a label that you'd like for us to talk with our experts about on a future show, send it our way, go to our website, let us know at twilatv.org. It's November and sweet potato harvest is wrapping up ahead of the 5-year average. This week, TWILA's Craig Gautreaux heads to northeast Louisiana to show us how this sweet crop weathered this year's drought.
Last year, incessant rains ruined Louisiana's sweet potato crop. This year, farmers had to deal with stifling heat and drought conditions. But with the aid of irrigation, this year's crop is in much better shape.
We are seeing some strong yields, but those yields came at a price, with a lot of the farmers having to spend quite a bit extra on the irrigation and labor costs associated with it.
Louisiana sweet potatoes are nearly equally divided into the fresh market and processing market. Farmers struggled to fulfill their contracts last year, but that will not be the case this year.
Most of our processing side, they were able to fill their contracts, and some actually had good enough yields where they have a little bit overages. So we have some potatoes where farmers are looking for an outlets at the moment, which is always a good thing to have a little bit extra in your shed.
Potatoes are cured in storage facilities before they are sold to consumers. This curing process helps sweeten the potatoes, and if handled correctly, consumers have fresh potatoes year-round.
If these potatoes are stored properly, it's no problem having potatoes held over to the beginning of next season, so 12-month potatoes under ideal circumstances will hold up just fine.
While this year's season is wrapping up, work is already underway for next year's crop. Workers at the Sweet Potato Research Station are propagating virus-free plants to ensure growers have a healthy start to next year.
we're helping ensure good yields and also helping to ensure the longevity of this crop, making sure that we can have consistent yields on a year in and year out basis.
The station is actively working on variety development and is currently evaluating new lines that may become commercial varieties in the future. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gautreaux reporting.
Louisiana producers are expected to harvest just shy of 6,000 acres of sweet potatoes this year. That is a far cry from the nearly 30,000 acres harvested 20 years ago. Still to come on This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, we see how agriculture research is being applied on a different kind of field than the one you normally expect. Stay with us. Whether you're a football fan or not, it is hard to ignore football in the state of Louisiana. In fact, on home game days for LSU football, Tiger Stadium becomes the 5th largest city in the state. Poll after poll has proclaimed Tiger Stadium as one of the greatest sites anywhere for football. But what makes it so great? The infamous horns from the Golden Band from Tigerland, the earthquaking roar of the crowd, the perfectly manicured field. In today's TWILA Boost, we show you how on game day, agriculture is one of the most valuable players.
I really love LSU, Always been a fan, been going to games as long as I can remember, and just being able to help give other people that magic feeling whenever you first walked in, it's awesome. It definitely was surreal walking out there the first time, kind of had to like take it in for a second, you know, realize like, okay, I'm actually on the field. One day you'll be working on a tractor in there. The next day you'll be spreading sand. Like it's a constant process to where eventually it all leads up to just game day, you know? And it's a long process, don't get me wrong, but it's just rewarding to be able to go through the trials and tribulations of trying to get it the perfect color, you know, the perfect height. So in classes, like we'll learn about the different grasses and stuff, different weeds that'll pop up, and then it's really cool to be able to go onto the field, be able to see it actually in person, you know, get that experience in real life. Probably one of the biggest problems that we do have is sunlight. So obviously with Tiger Stadium being so big as it is, like the shade and the shadows that it casts causes problem for our grass sometimes. So we'll have different methods, and we also have like these little, almost like a computer chip that you put in the ground, and it'll read like the sunlight that it's getting, the moisture, all these different values that are important to make sure that that grass is good for the games. Agriculture in Louisiana is important because it's one of our biggest industries that we have in the state already. If you just go drive down the interstate, you'll pass up numerous different soybean fields, sugarcane, corn, sweet potatoes, and obviously you need food to survive, and with our growing population, there's obviously sustainability questions that are popping up, so to be able to keep researching it, figure out the best methods to grow these foods and everything, it's really important to still keep focusing on that.
We'd like to say a special thank you to the folks over at LSU for letting us use that great video. Also, since it's Bama Hate Week, go Tigers. Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. We'll be back soon with a great Thanksgiving-themed show with a brand new feasting on agriculture. Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find all of these stories and more on our YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. That way you know when we put something new out. For all of us here at TWILA, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.